Trinity. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, please feel free to subscribe and ding that bell so that you don't miss any videos that I may upload in the near future, whenever the hell that may be. Well, today's video is definitely one that is out of my comfort zone. It is out of my norm, and it's um, a question that I'm going to be asking, or should I say, I'm going to be answering, that has often been asked by a YouTube content creator who goes by the name of Kevin Samuels. He's an image consultant for high value men, and what I say by high value in his terms, he means six figures or more. He doesn't mean high quality men. He doesn't mean high moral men or men in high standing and values. No, not in that way. It's straight financial. So a lot of women call without even realizing that they're calling about men that are completely out of their league, and they get offended because they don't understand what it is that these high value men want. And I also find it interesting because the same thing that the high value man desires is the same thing that the average man desires. So there's really no difference in what the man himself wants, regardless of his financial status, so to speak. Today I made a list, and it's not that long. I don't think it could be longer, knowing me, but I was mindful of time and stuff like that. Let's get to this. All right, so what does the Black woman in our community, the community, well, first and foremost, I would have to say respect. That is the first. If you cannot start from the foundation of respect, then there is no unity in the Black man's community. And when I say respect, I mean reverence for one's individualism. We have to be mindful that we all come from a particular environment, all right? And in this environment in which we grow up into, which is our home, as well as our neighborhood, the schools that we attend, all of that comes into play. And in the environment of the home, which is the first environment that the child ever enters into, for the most part in our community, that environment is dominated by the female gender. And this is because the male gender is usually, for the most part, I'm choosing my words correctly, I'm using them wisely. All right. There is purpose for why I use the words that I do. So I understand that there are exceptions to everything that can be anything. And I don't care about the exceptions. I am speaking about this, context in context right here. Okay. So for the most part, the male father figures are outside of the home, and some of them have contact with their female daughters, while others do not. And the father figures that these females growing up are learning from are from the mother's boyfriends, right? And I'm gonna be honest, not every mother's boyfriend are savory characters when it comes to being a role model for that individual person per se. Yeah. So with that, you have to take that into effect, okay? And there was something else. Oh, and in this dominant mindset of the mother that the woman is, the young child is raised up in, well, she is governed by her emotional state. And bear with me, while in this emotional state, raising her child, raising her daughter, she's raising her daughter from the position of fear. She's not raising her daughter to become a wife who has a full family of her own, which includes the father and children and herself. When she's thinking of a family, she's thinking of herself and her children. How do I know? A couple of days ago, I decided to have this discussion with my 16-year-old. I've never asked this of her before, and it never even occurred to me to have this discussion. And it wasn't until I started listening to these male YouTube content creators did I understand that, wow, we're failing. we're failing as mothers because we are not having the discussions that are most vital to their survival, and that's unity, unity within a community. So I decided to get into my daughter's head to see exactly where she was prospectively, and this is how the conversation went. I asked her, do you ever plan on getting married one day? And she said, no, I don't see no need for it. So I said, why don't you see a need for it? She said, because I could have a child on my own. I don't need to be married. I said, so let me get this straight. You believe that it is in your best interest to die alone with children who are going to move out and go about their business, at some point in their lives, as opposed to finding a suitable mate who you and he could be cooperative components for the benefit of the whole unit, a partner that you can share adventures with, create memories with, explore life with, experience the peaks and the valleys, which are the up and downs that, life comes with. You would rather, which one? Because I don't want to put words in your mouth or ideas in your head. So she thought about it for a brief time, and she said the second one. I said, good choice. So I said, let me ask you this one. I said, when you are told to go to school to get a great education so that you can get a job, so that you can support your family, what does that family look like to you? Like, who's included in your family? And she said, me and my kids. I said, see, that's the problem right there. And I'm going to help rectify that. I said, see, where most teenagers and young women and even our older women today, when they think of a family, they take out the whole man. All they do is leave behind his sperm. I said, you can never reduce, don't ever reduce a man to a sperm and a financial obligation, because men are so much more than that. Men are human beings, okay? And believe it or not, despite what anybody may have had you believe, they have feelings and they hurt. They have feelings and it loves it. They have feelings and it fears it. They have feelings and they want. So don't ever discount the man, because it is that man that is going to help your child have the best chance at life that child deserves. I get it. I and your father were not married, but what you did experience living with your father is that you understood what a husband and wife looked like in so many ways, because he was married when she was living with him for the 3 years that she had moved out of state to live with him. So I say all that to say this, like, ladies, seriously, we are wasting time focusing on the wrong things. We cannot be wasting time focusing on who has the deepest pockets, because guess what? The well does run dry. You will eventually run out of someone's money. Eventually, I mean, it's a possibility if it's ever to be a thing at all. We have to learn to hold men in our minds with love and compassion and care, humanity. They're human beings. We don't have the best attitudes, but yeah, we still want to be accepted. I mean, we have some really deep scars and some really ugly flaws, but we always want them to be overlooked. But yet when someone else outside of the individual me comes, even in between ourselves, man, we can be brutal. So, it's not about you, it's about the community, honey. We need to develop our own sense of culture. We are taking cultures from other people and applying them and trying to fit them into ours, and sweetheart, it doesn't fit. Okay, we don't come with the same makeup. Okay, we don't come with the same experiences. All right, we don't come with the same things as other cultures do. And the reason that our culture seems so broken is because we don't have a foundation to stand on. We are taking scraps. We're like the culture of vultures. Ooh, write that down. We no longer want to be the culture of vultures. We want to be the culture that has come up out of. We want to be the culture that can be looked upon and reverenced as the culture of the phoenix rising from the ashes of all of the horrible histories from our people. We are rising up out of the impoverished consciousness that so many of our generations have carried throughout. We need to rise up out of our sense of self-hate. Yes, I say self-hate. And I say that we hate ourselves as a whole because it is hard to convince anyone that is not us that we love ourselves when we deny ourselves the best of ourselves by hiding ourselves, the highest part of ourselves, from the world. We're not living from our highest standards for ourselves. We're not living through the morals that will have generations mimic and excel in life holistically. It's not about intellectual knowledge and financial gains. It's about the whole entire soul being's human experience. But all right, that's neither here nor there. Now, when we are raised by that dominant mindset of the emotional female, right, what tends to happen is that we create a belief system that will be cemented when we go out into the world. And this is because when you are constantly told the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, repetitively, our perception will then subtly begin to become skewed. It's skewed because a lot of the things that we are taught from our mothers, who are our primary caregivers, is that we need to always be on point. We need to prepare to be a single baby mother, a baby mama who's going to forever be a side chick, someone's mistress, or someone who doesn't deserve true love that is freely given, just waiting and looking for a place to happen. That's not what we're taught. We're taught the first thing. So we need to start to develop our own sense of self individually. And again, ladies, this really needs to be adhered to. Okay? It's okay to let go of the things that we're taught. We need to stop being loyal to the misinformation and start becoming more committed to the community at large. We need to, we are the ones today, like in 2021, you and I together can actually do this. We can be the ones to reshape the whole entire culture of our Black community, because our females today are more are raised in consciousness at a level our yesterday mothers were not. My mother today has absolutely no clue about what's going on. She doesn't, and everything I've learned wasn't from her. I mean, I've learned what not to do from her. I've learned what doesn't work from her. I've learned to stay away from certain things through her. And guess what? Those are wonderful, great lessons, because those lessons were learned through personal experiences of mine. And guess what? I said, you know what? I can't be loyal to false information because of who I got my information from. I am not going to go to a church and be loyal to a pastor or a minister or to the congregation, knowing that I am not going to get that spiritual fulfillment and guidance that I so need for myself, so that I can be that upstanding citizen, that reputable stature in the Black men and women's community. We can all do that. You just have to get out your ass, get out of your head, and stop acting like life is all about you. No, you are here for something that is greater, something that is grander, something that is more purposeful. And it's not about what a man can give you, Miss Independent. Stop with this independent thing. Black women, sweetheart, we are not created to be independent. We are all designed by form to be interdependent. We never had a fight with the black man. That was never our fight. And that's why we have always lost the war. And yet we are still strung on the battle. Why? It's not working. We need to do something different. And that's going to come in a bit. I'm going to make this quicker. The second thing is that we need to develop a sense of dignity and self-respect. A dignified woman is looked upon as a person of authority, not to be toyed with. Now, when you see somebody, right, can you imagine an African-American woman sitting in a room, right, and she's sexy, she's gorgeous, and she's poised, okay, and she's having that conversation, and she's met with a contrast, or she's met with aggression. She's not going to she's not going to have someone emotionally manipulate her in a way to where she steps out of line, steps out of character. You know, yeah, granted, in the beginning, and this is what I'm struggling. Well, I'm not struggling. This is what is going on with me right now. I am developing, you know, that Proverbs 31 woman that I've been talking about for years. And I'm not going to lie, it hasn't stopped. You know, I've understood that it's a process that must unfold. But first, in order for that process to take place, well, I have to move. And the process moves as quickly as I do. So, you know, I am satisfied with my, you know, with the momentum that is building, because it's allowing me to settle in certain areas and spaces and aspects that comes with life that I will need in order to be relatable to you, so that I can say, listen, honey, crap, I get it. Yeah, it's not easy because this is what, but now, and moving forward. Those are the type of responses, you know? So one thing a woman with dignity does is that she holds herself accountable. She understands that no one is in charge of the thoughts that she holds. No one is in control of the feelings she decides to have and experience as a sensation inwardly at any given moment but her. And damn it, no one can make her do anything she doesn't decide to do. And everything that she's chosen to do, she owns it. She owns it. She doesn't push blame, and she doesn't, you know, look and say, but look at Jill over there, or look at Bobby behind me, or look at that person. No, she says, you know what, you are absolutely correct. And I'm glad that I'm figuring this out now, because I can now know better to do better. And let me tell you, that is the epitome of wisdom, which is another thing that the black woman owes her community. A woman with wisdom. Because a woman with wisdom isn't a woman of lip service. A woman of wisdom, she does the right thing because it is the right thing. And it is in that right thing that produces the better result for the greater good of all involved. Wisdom. That is a necessity. The book of Proverbs, the whole entire book of Proverbs, is all about wisdom and folly. And you can either take heed, or you can, you know, fall to the, you know, consequences of it. That's the beauty about our freedom of choices that we were given. We have that freedom to choose to live at our lowest capacity, or we can stand and walk tall in our highest self, in form, and in spirit, in thought, and in action, in feeling. You know, we owe, as women, the black community, the uplifting of black men, because ultimately it is them that we are looking towards for that financial support. It has to go hand in hand. It cannot be one or the other. You know, if you're looking for a man to financially support you, then why not desire the best man that can give you the best level of support? But in order for him to become that, he has to have a sense of peace in the home, because it is in the home that he rests and rejuvenates and restores and becomes entertained and relaxes from the whole life that has been beating him down. You see, the black man, knowing the black man, the black man's strife with all of these, you know, what do you call that? Pro, when people protest, right? About, how the lives of our black men matters, and you know, the the law enforcement people in our, legal system shouldn't mistreat them the way that they do, and we admittedly agree unanimously that they are the worst treated of all the races by the outside world, and yet they have to come home and be mistreated by the women and ultimately children that they go out so often for, and subject themselves to such abuse and tyranny, to feed them, to clothe them, to shelter them, just to have that woman completely emasculate him, dehumanize him, ostracize him, make fun of him, and just have absolutely no regard for him as a human species. Honey, that can't be easy, because if you can allow yourself to at least take yourself out of the equation of the actor, and put yourself as the observer, you would openly admit that that is a horrible, horrible thing to do. And it's a horrible, horrible thing to have to experience as the individual who is going through all of that. We need to start accepting our roles. We can't be queens acting like peasants, expecting for others to do our jobs. Queens don't become queens by default. No, sweetheart, that's the princess statuses. Princesses become princesses by default. But the queen becomes a queen because the king chose her to be that cooperative component, that cooperative, loving, understanding, I want the same thing as you, my king, partnership, so that when he is away outside doing kingdom stuff, his wife is in the royal palace handling all of the intricacies of everything that goes on in that environment. You see, the king holds down the kingdom, while the queen, she oversees the palace. You understand? You cannot be a queen and act like a harlot. You cannot be a queen and act like someone who is just a mere commoner or a noble. I might even say a noble woman, because queens are very noble in stature. But you cannot expect it to be a banana when your character and your traits and your disposition all screams an apple. You cannot get mad when somebody treats you and sees you and acknowledge you as, well, what you are, demonstrating yourself to be. So you owe your community dignity and self-respect. You owe your community love, understanding, but most of all, care, genteel, tenderness, kindness. You owe all of that. You owe us that part of you that is the most upstanding, and display it to the world, because you, my love, as much as you may hate to admit it, and something I had to humble myself in and accept, but we are all a part of a community. And how we present ourselves, we represent the community at large. Now, while we can be recognized individually as a whole, we are all judged one in the same. So if you would like others to judge you differently as the black woman, honey, well, you have to give them something differently to judge you by. It's not about how much education you can acquire. Hell, any monkey can memorize something. That's all your intellect tells, is that you're good at memorization. When it matters to you, your bank account, it doesn't matter, because men want to be men and do what men do, and that is provide. Men are hunters, men are gatherers, men are providers. Men want to be men. They don't want to be what you want them to be. They don't want to be your homegirls. They don't want to be your homegirls. They want to be your men. You got to stop treating them as if they're your girlfriends and expected to act the way. No, you have your girlfriends for their roles and their place, and you have your man for his role and his place. And let me tell you, man, I would never want my guy to be my girlfriend, my homegirl. No. No, I want my man to be the man. I want that man to be under my car, under my cabinet, you know what I'm saying? Under my sheets and under the blankets at night. My man has a place in my life, and it's not sharing the space of what I think society wants my man to treat me like. You are crazy, sweetheart. No, let me tell you something. We have to stop allowing society to create our culture, because they're telling us where we come from. They are telling us what we're good for. They are telling us what we have to offer, like sports and like bull crap, man. Nah, man. The black community, we got a lot to offer, and it is our time. Our value, our greatest asset is in our time and how we utilize it. We can either spend it or invest it, and the choice is yours. But let me tell you, you owe the community the greatest parts of you, and it's not in anything that you've ever acquired outside of you, but everything and anything that you can develop from within you, from the highest parts of you, from the highest spaces of you, and then you show that on. You show that out into the world, and you share it, you show it, you deliver it, you demonstrate it, and you express it. And I can guarantee you our culture will definitely unify, and instead of speaking at one another and talking at one another, we will be able to commune with one another in a way where there are more than just words of understanding, but actions of believing it. So I hope that helps and does something. I don't know. But that was really just something I've always wanted to say if I were to ever had been asked that question by Mr. Samuels. And hopefully it can help other women who has never seen it from my perspective per se, and can try to develop a new way, and start tending to their spirit, their their mental psyche parts of them, their emotional states of their beingness, and become better, not for themselves, but for the generations that are going to be coming behind us to follow, and wiping our asses when we are old and feeble and needing to put IVs into our veins and other crazy things I would really not want to think about, because the generation today is scary. So I'm trying to get to the upcoming one. This one, I'm gonna have to leave them for somebody else. I'm not skilled at that. So yeah, that's what the black woman should at least strive for, in order as a give back. Oh, one more thing before I go, I almost forgot. The black woman owes her talents and her skills, her God-given talents, and couple that with the skills that she has acquired to build up the consciousness of the members of the black community, whether it's through podcasting, whether it's through course creating, whether it's through something that is uplifting spiritually, or any of that, or any of those things in nature. That is a good way to give back. If you ever want to give back to your community, you give back the talents that God gave you. There's a whole story about God and, the 3 talents. You know what I'm saying? So look into that, man. There's so many ways to give back. You can donate to other, neighborhoods with the donates within our community. Instead of throwing clothes away, you donate them to the community. You can create a donation box stand where people can just put clothes in and other people can just take those clothes out. You know, yes, there are going to be people who are going to be greedy, but guess what? You know, things are going to be modified and, you know, in the process. Don't even worry about that. God will have you covered. You know, you put God first, and the community building, I can guarantee you, is going to grow. You know, I'm starting it. You know, I'm not just a woman of lip service. You know, I am definitely a one of servitude. So I am deciding to, again, use my talents, you know, and give back by uplifting for the sake of love and unity and strength, power and success and abundances of prosperity alike. If you like this video, give a girl a thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and ding that notification bell so that you can get more inside perspectives and views by me. Share this video. Hopefully it'll get to Mr. Samuels, and yeah, he can see that, well, there is hope in the ladies of the community. We're not all the same. With that said, love and light. Mwah, 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 mwah. Later.